Welcome to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and Peter and Ruffy's football show. We're delighted that you could join us on this Tuesday. Weather's great, which is why Ruffy is wearing his lofty shorts from an 8.5 hot mum. So great to have Ruffy with us, and Hugh McDonald. We're looking forward to chatting football. There's lots to talk about. Sean Maloney sacked. We will discuss Motherwell, who've done something positive in Scottish football. They've agreed to moving the fixture between themselves and Rangers, and VAR is coming to Scotland. They've voted it in. There's only one dissenter. We're not quite sure who it is. Maybe Ruffy will tell us who didn't fancy voting for VAR. But will it help our game? Will it solve all the problems? Will it stop all the arguments of referees and their decisions? Only time will tell. We'll give you our opinion. You can give us yours as well on our feed. If you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, we'll be absolutely delighted that you've joined the football family. You can hit the bell as well. And if you download the PLZ Soccer app, fingers crossed you enjoy it. It's got all the breaking football news and you can watch the programme live. So, with that in mind, great to see you, Ruffy. You've had a wee game of golf and you're fairly refreshed, ready for a wee bit of tennis later on.
Yeah, certainly am. The golf this morning, it took me surprise. The Sean Maloney was actually on the first tee when I was just about to tee off and my phone dinged and the news came out, and I told Peter immediately. I had a great drive at the first hole. Tom McManus had a nightmare because he'd already done his column saying that the board should back the manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I cannot believe the whole situation. I'd written a column on Saturday saying exactly that. Back the manager. He needs a transfer window, and suddenly, they decided no. I mean, even Tom McManus had written a similar column in the Record this morning.
Yep. The only thing you can think of, there's two things you can think of. One, they've got the fear that it's the Hibs are plummeting like a Terry Butcher season, and they're going to get into real trouble. Or they've looked at it and said, there's just no way forward. We just don't like, what he's doing. We don't like what he's up to. We don't like the way he's going about things. That's only two things. And then when it all comes back to it, it was their decision, a strategic decision. I mean, it's no surprise what Sean Maloney will be doing at Trinent, Peter. We know he's an exact, precise coach. We know he comes from the Robert Martinez school. We know he's a football scholar. We know that he's kind of coaching is going to take time to move around. We know he has to get certain players in that complement that strategy. So it seems a catastrophic failure of management at the top level.
Yeah. Well, before I offer my thoughts on the board and their decision on it, this is what the board had to say with regards to the sacking of Maloney. Hibs can confirm that Sean Maloney has departed the club as first team manager. Gary Caldwell, Valerio Sudas and Brian Dugan have also left with immediate effect. Executive Chairman Ronald Gordon commented, "Our hope in appointing Sean Maloney as a young, highly regarded coach was that he would help us take the club forward. But ultimately, it didn't work out. We thank Sean and his coaching staff for all their hard work and efforts and wish them all the best for the future." David Gray will take charge of first team as caretaker manager for the remainder of the campaign and will be supported by Eddie May and John Bush. So, basically, this is what you get if you're in charge of Hibs. This is the remit of what you have to do. So Sean Maloney was in charge for 120 days and he had 19 games. He won 6, he drew 6, 7 defeats, league position is 7th. And if you don't turn it around in that time, and of course, some of the players that were signed were on this Brentford system, Ruffy, which is basically, it's by committee. Ron Gordon's son, Ian, is the recruitment officer. He, along with Ben Kensel, look at it, and it's by committee. Here's your players.
Well, for me, that's the problem. I'm not saying it is the problem. It just looks as if that could be the problem. Sean Maloney's been there and done it, even at international level. and you would think he's not going to be dictated by anybody. He's wanting to bring his own players in there. And I think Hearts' success has probably got a lot to do with it in the capital. You know, they're so far ahead. You know, I know you read out the stats there, but somebody was telling me it's only 1-1 in 13 league games.
Yes.
Which, again, you know, I think he's just been called in, and I've just said to him, look, where do you see us going? And whatever's happened in that negotiation hasn't fitted in with where the owners are. And we've saw it like these American owners are. They put so much money in, they want success immediately. They don't want to be hanging about.
Well, let me hold you on that one. With all due respect on this, with regards to the quality, the players are coming in on this Brentford blueprint. I'm not making this up. This is a statement they made with regards to that. So Harry Clark comes in on loan from Arsenal, Ewan Henderson on loan from Celtic, Melkerson from Bodo Glimt, Mueller from Orlando, Dimitri Mitchell from Blackpool, Rocky Bashiri is loan from Norwich City, and Sylvester Jasper is a loan from Fulham. The players out: Jamie Gullen, Martin Boyle, unbeknown to Sean at that time, boom, he's gone. Halbert's gone to St Johnstone, Jamie Murphy loan to Mansfield, Gogic on loan to St Mirren, and suddenly over and above that, injuries. Nisbet, Clark was out for a while, Doidge, Macy, Hanlon, McGinn, McGuinness, James Scott, Dimitri Mitchell. They've all been sidelined at times to derail his chances of getting the team that he wants out in the park. So if you've got injuries, you're getting no slack cut whatsoever on this. Injuries, tough. Get on with the players that are there. Now, you look at this season, already the general consensus, I think through all of us, was that Jack Ross was bulleted prematurely. 23 games, 10 wins, 5 draws, 8 defeats, sacked.
I mean, it's the real thing is there a strategy? And if you see there's a strategy to bring in players on the Brentford model, etc., etc., well, there must be a strategy in how you are employing the head coach of your football club, which is the most important appointment a board's going to make, bar none. That's the appointment that makes and breaks things. And if you're making an appointment that after 20-odd games that you're thrown in the bin twice in one season, you're going to be looking at yourself and saying, what is our decision-making process here? What are we getting wrong? Because if their decisions are right to get rid of Jack Ross and Sean Maloney, obviously the decision to hire them was wrong.
Yes.
I mean, they can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
I think it's an extraordinary mess. It really is. As I say, I think they've either got the fear that they're plummeting into relegation trouble, or they've come to a very strong conclusion that what Sean Maloney was doing was not tying in with their plans. But Sean Maloney wouldn't be doing anything, Peter, that would surprise anybody. I mean, we know his background, we know what he's about, we know the type of football he wants to play, we know that if you do want to do that type of football, not only do you need certain players to implement it, but you need time.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. You need time, you need to be able to build the team and build it your way and get your players, the players that you like, that you want to be able to implement your tactics. I mean, I've heard a lot of crap coming out about, he was too intense, he was always, thinking too much about it. What do they want? Coco the clown up there cracking jokes and everything?
No, they just want to be control freaks. They want to control the whole situation, and I think although it says he's been sacked, I would think Sean has got a part of that to say, well, I'm not buying into this. This is the way I think I can turn this round. And they're saying to him, no, this is the way we're turning it round. This is the way that the club's going to be run. And we had that at Partick Thistle 2 or 3 years ago when Barnsley were trying to come in with an American owner, and that was their brief. We will give you the best players that aren't in Barnsley's first team and that'll make your team a thing. I'll never ever forget at the end of it when Jerry said to him, well, where do you think we'll be in 2 years after that format? And he said, well, in 2 years, son, we'll be challenging Rangers and Celtic. And we all looked at him. and that's the way they think. They think their way is the way. You know, and every other way is just a load of rubbish.
Well, Hugh Scott, who regularly watches the show and offers his opinion, and a lot of the times Hugh is on the mark as well, says, Peter, they should have held their nerve with Jack Ross. He had them in a final and fourth, I think, at the time in the league. A nonsense decision at that time, which has come back to bite them now. Ian Miller, American owners, that's what you get. I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as to say this is a kind of a criticism of people and Americans and their blueprint. You know, lots of I think there's a lot to be gained from the ethos of American owners, and certainly the way we should be marketing Scottish football, because per head in this population, we are fanatical about football.
Absolutely.
We love it. So we should be adopting a more positive American attitude. I think that's right. But as Ruffy said there, you know, sometimes you're looking, you're saying to yourself, hang on a minute here, you know, you can't be as ruthless as this. It doesn't work like that. And lots of people have been commenting on it. You know, whether Sean Maloney goes back to Belgium or not is another matter. John says Malky Mackay would be a good choice of a replacement. I can tell you right now, Malky Mackay would not put up with this nonsense.
No. I mean, Malky Mackay as well. I mean, Malky Mackay has proved his worth at Ross County as well. I mean, Malky Mackay is well on the road to the rehab that was occasioned pre the Scottish FA job. I don't think Malky Mackay would be interested, certainly, in having a job where players were brought in on
committee. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's okay bringing players in and loan as long as it's you're the guy who's bringing them in, not other people. And then we go back to the American way, the way they see sport as. In America, they have the franchise. They think nothing of going to somebody who's got a franchise contract and saying, right, it's not working, away you go. And that's the way they operate.
Yeah.
That is the way they operate.
The king is dead, long live the king, as they say. So who's next in line for the job? Here's the runners and riders so far. Of course, if you look at the odds from some of the bookies, John Kennedy 2-1, he knocked it back, I think, the last time. Kevin Thompson, would he leave Kelty Hearts to go to his old club Hibernian? He's 4-1. David Martindale 5-1. I think David was suffering the short shrift that the owners are handing out elsewhere. There'd be a few expletives in there from him. Scott Brown at 6-1. Would Scott Brown risk it all in his first management job being dictated to? Ronnie Dial at 8-1. And the last one is Kjetil Knutsen, I beg your pardon, at 10-1. Anybody there, or do you think there's somebody out of left field that comes in that we haven't mentioned?
I would think the Americans, particularly Gordon and his son, would have some American head coach candidates. Almost, you know, in a sort of Stephen Glass. I think they'll have contracts in America who'll buy into the system that they want to go. If not, if it was a straight, you know, I think Kevin Thompson's put himself in a very strong position for what he's done at Kelty. And he's obviously got a background with the club. But I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, if they went to America.
The only one I would take out of that one would be Ronnie Delia, because I think he's although it wasn't a good Celtic team, his record speaks for itself. You know what he won and the success with New York.
You know, want to come from New York
I know.
to Hibernian.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how much he enjoyed being here in the first place. But, you know, if it isn't him, I can't see anybody in that list.
To be perfectly honest with you, I think Hibs are a big club. I think they're a great club, and I think they've got a great set of fans. But I think the fans can see through this. I think the fans will look at this and say, well, wait a minute. You know, is it a fast food appointment you want here? You know, you've got to churn it out quickly, turn it around quickly, but we've got to be dictated to by what you signed. I think a lot of Hibs fans will be asking some serious questions of him. And remember, you know, they've got 5 games left. David Gray's in charge. Then they're going to make an appointment. And this is the third one that could go woefully wrong, because I think the structure and the way they're going about this is not something that a manager will take too easily to.
No, and And really, David Gray's job, is pretty straightforward. He goes into the dressing room and says, "Right, boys, we've got 5 cup finals, blah blah blah. Let's stick together. Let's go to a rudimentary pattern, what we're good at, whether it be 3-5-2, 4-5-1. This is what we'll do. Try and eke out a couple of results and get to the end of the season." But the problem, that just postpones the problem, what happens next in the summer. As I say, they've got to get a manager now who is not a manager, basically. Certainly not a manager in the culture of Scottish and English football. They've got to get a head coach, basically.
I feel sorry for Sean Maloney because I think it tarnishes his, a CV right at the start of a career where I always tell anybody, journalists, you name it, don't let your eyes deceive you. When you watch a team, if you can see something that's starting to develop, and I've watched them and I thought the first 25-30 minutes at Tynecastle, they played some lovely football. I could see a bit about them and what he was trying to do from back, middle to front. But if you've got your best player sold from underneath you in the February, and then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you've got injuries and you're trying to play a certain style to move Hibs forward. And remember, you're not exactly hiring a coach who has played mid-table anywhere else. This guy's been a winner.
Right. I mean, Maloney's a top coach, and I'll tell you why he's a top coach, because Martinez employs him, and Martinez doesn't employ idiots. He's also a top coach because he coaches the Belgian players, and the Belgian players don't, Peter, if you've been around these elite players, they don't put up. They just do not put up with chances. They're wanting, how do you make me, Kevin De Bruyne's first question to a coach, and I know it's the fact, is how are you going to make me a better player?
Yeah.
And the coach has to answer that, and the coach has to answer that not just in words, but on the training ground. So he's a top-class coach. The fact of the matter with Hibs was, and it was very simple, they had nothing in the final third. And the reason they had nothing in the final third is they sold their best player, the most dangerous player, and the guy who was scoring all the goals for them got injured. I mean, it's not like we've got to come up with this great conspiracy season. Sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if you're a Hibs fan, who do you want as a manager? Are you happy with the board and the way they've gone about their business? Are you happy with the remit, which is quite simply, they'll sign the players, you've got to quite simply turn it around in double quick time, or you're getting the bullet. Rob Chapman has gone down a different road, which I think has got nothing to do with Hibs, but certainly scathing nonetheless. Rob says, is this a show of inconvenience for Ruffy? He's as bad as McAvenny. Take punditry seriously or don't bother at all, Ruff. No one wants to see a 70-year-old in shorts. Wow, what about that, Ruffy?
I'm not going to tennis tonight then if I can't wear shorts. I've got to wear long trousers.
No, but this is obviously, Rob's idea of a serious pundit is somebody with trousers on.
Old battered jeans.
I don't know about you, but Rob's clearly judging a book by its cover. You need to show a more professional attitude.
Okay, I'll make sure I don't wear trousers twice a week.
The only good thing about it, Ruffy, is people who listen to the podcast will not know if you've got trousers on, so you can still be authoritative in whatever you're saying. Thanks for that, Rob. Fairly scathing. VAR, it's coming, Ruffy.
Yes.
Are you happy? Can you tell us which club voted against
I'm not going to name who they are, but they come for the Highlands.
Okay, that's narrowed it down for us. That's
They pally with Partick Thistle.
Occasionally.
Brilliant. Well done, Stu. It's all there. Anyway, apart from anything else, you did highlight last night of the concerns that some clubs may have with the scale of what they have to contribute, and they're never going to use it. The only thing I would say is sometimes when you've got concerns like that, sometimes there's a late call or a late WhatsApp group that sorts it out to say, look, we'll pay this part.
Yeah, there had to be negotiations between the lines of when they were going to make the decision. I think there has been a few phone calls because the teams in the lower divisions were saying, well, we haven't got 80,000 to throw away into a VAR that we're not going to be part of. But they would have been part of it because if they'd been drawn in a Scottish Cup tie with a home venue, they'd have had to have VAR.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been the stipulation. So
from your point of view, there's been calls made?
Yeah, I think down the line, I think everybody's been sensible enough to know that it's something we need. When all the managers in the Premier League come out after games and go, we need VAR, you've got to start listening, you know, and the rest of Europe's got it, you know, and we know we don't agree 100% with it, but we have to go with everybody else. It's the way that football's moving just now.
Yeah, well, here's VAR explained to each and every one of us so that we know exactly what's coming. Of course, 41 clubs voted in favour of it, with one club voting against. It's to be installed at every Premiership ground with a full launch after the World Cup in December 2022. It's going to cost £1.2 million per season for the Premiership, with the title winners paying £195,000 down to bottom place paying £67,000. Now, the SPFL will use the Hawkeye Innovation System, which is used worldwide, including the Premier League in England. SPFL also plans to use VAR in the Premier Sports Cup semi-finals and finals in January and February of next year, and then there's a view to implement it, you know, further as we move on.
Yep.
What were you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at the fact that Scottish football is going to introduce VAR, but it's not really. It's going to introduce VAR halfway through the season, which is crazy. Yeah. It's going to be crazy, because the first thing that's going to happen is that the first game is going to happen, the
first Celtic Rangers game.
It's going to be a huge decision, goes wrong, and everybody says, and then the second game, when VAR's going to go in, and I bet you the situations, you know, are completely odd.
Well, can I just say to you then, the answer is, well, tough.
Yeah, well, that is the answer.
Yeah.
That's the answer. But I mean, you would think that normally you would say all season would be held under the same laws. The whole season would be consistent. I'm completely and utterly against VAR. I hate it, detest it. I think it's everything that's wrong with football can be summed up in VAR. I hate it. And I hate it because it has no concerns at all for the people that actually pay the money in football, that is the fans.
Uh-huh.
Because you're much better watching a game at home, because then you'll know what's going on. Because if you're at the game, and I've been at games where VAR's been going on in Germany, you haven't got a Scooby what's going on.
Yeah. Is that because you're just waiting on the big screen decision?
The big screen tell, whereas you're sitting in front of the home, you're watching, oh, they're checking if offside, oh, that was offside or that's not offside. The other thing as well is that football as a game was always, we all play under the same laws. If you play for Tollcross Amateurs on a Saturday or Rangers on a Sunday, it's the same laws of the game, it's the same game. It isn't anymore.
But can I just say something to you? There'll be a few people here and right across the whole country will be saying, wait a minute, they might just go a blanket Hughes old school on this. Why should we continue in the 21st century going to watch football as a fan and then watch your team, and I'm not talking about the weekends games at all, I'm talking about moving forward. Why should you go and watch a referee who's inept have an impact on a game that changes the fortunes of your club?
But VAR won't solve that, Peter.
Well,
I'll address it in some ways, but it won't solve it.
But it will. What I would, the one thing that I think is a positive for it, I think the time that they've taken to make decisions has been the teething problems in England. But now they're speeding it up. There's still little tweaks that I'd like to see with regards to the offside, which is, I don't like the toe. I think you have a full body that needs to be onside or offside. But what I would say to you is it decreases the percentage of mistakes.
It definitely decreases, no doubt about that.
Is that not good for the game, Hugh?
Well, I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. Because I think we should all be big enough. I think we should improve referees, right? That's where we be spending £1.2 million a year on doing. Because we're going to have the same people making the same judgments in the same boxes. Okay, they'll be photographic, and there'll be evidence that anybody can spot, oh, that's definitely offside, that was wrong. But you've still got people going to be interpreting the game, there's going to be people adjudicating the game who are simply not good enough. There is no plan in place. We've signed off for £1.2 million for new technology, fine. It has to go ahead because I know this, I just hate it personally. It has to go ahead. Because if you don't have it, you're a joke league. You're out, so you've got to have it, right? But I'd love to have seen the same impetus and saying, why don't we have a real root and branch look at our refereeing system, how we develop refs, how we bring refs through, how we train them, what we expect of them. And we haven't had that at all. This looks like an easy sticking plaster over the problem, and it will still cause problems.
I think, I disagree with you, and I disagree on a number of points as well, Ruffy, which is quite simply, yes, we all want to see better referees. I absolutely accept that, but the fact of the matter is, even if you're a referee on full-time wages, it's your full-time job, human frailty, human error can still come into it, and you still have a backup which can reduce the percentage of a major mistake. I give you, for example, the angle or the positioning of the referee in the game, Republic of Ireland against France. He may well not have seen the cheat from Thierry Henry, but it would have allowed Ireland to have a chance to go to the World Cup, because even if it was Pierluigi Collina in that match, there's still someone else there that's got the fail-safe to say, this country deserves a decent chance, even although it's a top referee, it deserves a decent chance to have that mistake rectified.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is the major decisions, the big decisions like that, the penalties, the people diving in the box, not in the box. But for me, the referees want it. They want it because they're getting so much abuse now.
Right, because it makes their job easier.
It makes the job easier. They're not going to be set about and put under pressure. So, but the only bit I do agree with you is it's got to be tidied up, and you've touched on it as well. Your ankle's offside or your hand's offside or whatever, just for the big decisions, the massive decisions that turn games.
Yeah, here's what Neil Doncaster, the Chief Executive of the SPFL, has had to say about the whole situation. I'm very pleased that we received the necessary 75% votes in the Premiership, Championship, League 1 and League 2, which enable us to forge ahead with VAR technology next season. The SPFL chose not to be an early adopter of VAR technology to allow time for teething issues to be ironed out by those leagues who adopted VAR early. I believe this was the right decision, and that VAR will help referees to ensure tight decisions are more often the right ones, and will support a higher standard and more consistent level of decision making. Scottish referees are fully on board and have been overwhelmingly supportive about the introduction of VAR during our consultation process. Okay, he's delighted. He's slightly gilding the lily a bit, suggesting that they were waiting
for that. We're not going to take them. We're going to wait till the proper version comes out.
We're going to wait to see where we can find 1.2
million. That's what they want to see.
Absolutely. But nevertheless, listen, he's in there. He's in there, and they're going to use the Hawkeye innovation system. So I cannot wait. I mean, listen, I hate to be so scathing about at times our country, but sometimes it leaves me a little bemused. I do agree with you on one point. VAR will be in, but there'll still be the argumentative level. It won't go away.
No, it won't go away. Another thing, that I think this has been missed by everybody. I think it's been missed by pundits, because we are guilty of not, at times, we live a gilded life as well, in that we watch football in a certain way.
Yeah.
But see, watching football under VAR as a punter is terrible. You don't know whether to celebrate, you don't know whether to roar. Everybody used to be a thing that if a goal went in, you looked at what we then called the linesman and the ref. If the linesman's running up the park and the ref said, that's it, oh, down in the... Now everybody, wait a minute, then you get this sign up saying VAR, and you're sitting, in Darlington, Motherwell, London, and you don't know what's going on. You're waiting for some punter sitting, 12 miles away in a truck to come up with a decision. It's terrible for the fans. There's no doubt about it. It's just terrible. You saw. I mean, we were I was in Cologne one night, where we're all celebrating Dortmund going 2-0 up, and the players are walking off at half time, and we're going, the scoreboard says it's 1-0. Because everybody's been celebrating for 3 minutes. And the goal had been chalked off. for VAR. The other thing is, you saw the guys, Manchester City supporters, are streaming out of the Emirates thinking they've been, they've scored the last minute goal to not Tottenham out of the Champions League. By the time they've got to the foot of it, they're not in the Champions League anymore. VAR has put them out.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
But rightly.
Rightly, yeah.
Yes, rightly.
But
I, the one thing I would say is I actually agree with you on that one element, which is, Ruffy, and that's why sometimes I think we should have a full. They used to say you have to have daylight between the player and the defender before he's offside, and I think that was for the benefit of the game, because quite simply it was easier for the linesman to track it. I think that should come back because it benefits the player who wants to score goals to entertain the fans. But I agree with you on that one point, because it's the one element of the game that really annoys the life out of you, is because fans do jump up and down, they're cheering. You only have to look in the last couple of weeks, they're jumping up and down cheering, and they're going, by the way, VAR's checking that. Off. Everybody's flat as a pancake. Now you don't know. Sometimes now commentators are going, do I cheer this? Do I get excited? Is this me going to look stupid?
I don't know. As long as they get it right, that you got to buy into it. I mean, I watch it in the rugby, and the rugby put up with standing about for 3 or 4 minutes going, well, what's the decision?
Yeah, but that's what Hugh's point as well. That's the other thing about it. I think English football has started to get a quicker decision on it, but it's still that element of, I wonder.
Here's my point. In a nutshell, this is my point. Television decides now who gets all the money in football. Who gets the Champions League final, because they're all there because of broadcast deals. Television decides when your game kicks off, and now television decides who wins the game. That's it.
Yeah, well, it's a great argument. I'll tell you that even the feed here is absolutely unbelievable. Stephen McNeil says bring in foreign referees. Somebody says that referees should explain their decisions at the end of the game. I don't think referees should, because it doesn't matter when you interview a referee. Ref, why did you give that decision? I thought it was
right. We the referee who refereed, I can't remember who it was, Partick Thistle versus somebody, and our manager went up to him after the game and he said, you have just made the 3 worst decisions I've ever seen in my career, and says, and see when you go home, have a look at it and phone me in the morning and let me know if I'm right. So the phone call went in the morning and the referee said it was actually 4.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But Ian Docherty says, it's never been the case, Peter. It used to be if you were in line, you were offside. Now you're onside. If that's the case. Daylight.
But even then, you're going to get down to you're going to get the Hadron Collider out to see if there's daylight.
Not only that, but Hugh, we've had guys' toenails are offside. I mean, for God's sake.
That's what's going to happen.
Oh, I know, and that's the other thing about it. It's going to annoy
here's because you're going to say see at VAR at Hampden on Saturday. Is that offside, the Rangers winner?
What, with Bassey?
With Bassey's hand?
Tight, but I never even brought it up on this programme.
No, because it's ludicrous.
Yeah. Can I just say something to you?
You don't look like that.
We haven't had a chance to talk to you about the games at the weekend, but again, sometimes I think some fans, and I did try and highlight it yesterday, but it didn't cut any ice with anybody. I tried to highlight, listen, Rangers deserve to win the game, and I knew right away, because our digital journalist just wanted the chunk of me saying Bobby Madden is inept, which is fine. You got to run with it. If you run with it and you fire out grenades, you got to take it back. I said Rangers deserved the win. I thought they were by far the better team, but I thought Bobby Madden's performance was poor. I thought it was poor for Rangers. I thought it was poor for Celtic. Celtic should never had a free kick. I thought 2 of the challenges from Rangers players were debatable red cards. Now, does that have an impact on the game? Possibly. Is it being peeved? I couldn't care less who won in the match. The fact is, Rangers were the best team. They deserved to win, Hugh, but it doesn't take away the referee was poor.
It's not mutually exclusive. I would agree totally with that. Rangers deserve to win, and I don't think. I think if you ask any reasonable Celtic supporter, I don't think there's any problem. I think, you know, even in social media, I've been looking at social media, you know, everybody says, right, Rangers with a better side on the day. You know, it's another Rangers-Celtic game like this season. Most of them, bar the blowout at Celtic Park, have been really close games. The game at Ibrox that Celtic won was really close as well. Not a close game. Rangers deserved to go through the final, but the referee was poor. My general point is, going back, is the referees in Scotland are poor. And the other general point is, why can I say that with such conviction? Would anybody tell me the last time that UEFA or FIFA gave a Scottish referee even a place in a finals tournament or a big game?
You're going back a fair bit, aren't you? You're going back.
They're going back.
They are poor.
They're poor.
It's and right down.
Right, well, one of the things that I've noticed this season, as you know, Peter, is I've been doing this feature for Daily Mail on the road, and I've been all around. I've been down at Glenafton, I've been doing a women's football, I've done amateur football, I've done Lowland League, I've done the South of Scotland, Second Division League. I've done just about every section of Scottish football. And the refereeing's been generally very, very poor. And there's been a couple of young referees I've looked at that have been decent. You know, they made their errors, don't get me wrong, but it's not about not making errors, it's a consistency of action and authority on a part. And I just think at some stage, I mean, I know I'm not even fighting a battle in VAR. Yeah. I'm saying VAR's got to come in. I've not got a problem. I'm just saying I don't like it. It's got to come in. But I just wish that we could look at referees in this country and come up with a pathway which is supportive of the referee himself or herself too.
Yes.
And come up with a proper training. Even for example, spending, we've all got money, you know, for inquiries into, you know, votes getting caught and firewalls or Deloitte's with Hibs, etc. What about bringing in a referee management firm where, for example, maybe saying, do you know what, in the last 20 years, 3 or 4 Scandinavian referees have refereed Champions League finals. How do the Scandinavians get it right in Scotland? Doesn't it? And getting Scandinavians in, not to referee our games, but to come and say, this is what we did right, this is how we tried to bring through our refs.
Yeah, and a similar process to if a country keeps qualifying for a major tournament, you think...
We do the same.
Let's adopt it. Okay, it's a fair point. But just, I'll come to Ruffy on that in a minute, but overall, you know, I think the general feeling through a lot of people on the programme, you know, some people suggested Rangers would win, but the majority, I think, on the programme suggested Celtic.
I thought Celtic would. I thought I was very strong in Celtic winning, Peter, because of the extra time on the. I think any sports scientist will tell you that gives you a big advantage.
But when you said that, Hugh, I mean, honestly, Celtic looked as if they had played in Europe because Rangers pressed really well. Lundstrom was magnificent in the middle of the park. I thought their back line coped with whatever Celtic tried, and they didn't try very much. And then, you know, when everybody's talking about all the Miss Morelos, you know, Rangers just absolutely had the better chances in the game as well, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a tight game. I thought it was tighter than other people thought, but I thought the game at Ibrox was very tight as well. Yeah. I thought Rangers completely and utterly won the midfield, and that's a lot of times where, I mean, any manager tells you that's crucial. I thought Celtic, funnily enough, Celtic missed Giacomakis more, you know, almost as much as Rangers missed Morelos. Celtic played really without a centre forward, and people say, well, how important is that? I think it's important in little moments. See the goal, the equaliser, which was the most important goal in the match, because then you're thinking Rangers is going into the last 15 minutes, Celtic's 1-up. Most reasonable people are thinking Rangers are going to go down here, they're going to be struggling, they're going to get to the stage where they're going to have to throw bodies forward because it's a cup game. The ball that wins it is not Tavernier's ball. It's Goldson getting enough time to hit the long the long diagonal. Yeah. If Celtic's got a centre forward, you're thinking he's getting closed down then. You know, it's these small things, Peter. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with your summation of Rangers deserve to win. The referee was poor is exactly mine.
Yeah, Rangers
I thought the extra time Rangers were the better side. I thought the turning point was Vickers hitting the bar. If that goes in, nice. It's a simple shot into the goal.
I'm amazed you said extra time. I thought Rangers were the best team. You know, there was little periods where they had a real grip. They started off brilliantly, and then there was periods where you thought Celtic were coming back into it. But I thought second half. I thought Rangers just looked as if they were the more dangerous, you know, and you could see the equaliser coming. You know, Celtic looked off it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it was Hugh that said it. You know, coming off a massive European game like that is going to hurt you somewhere. But I think Rangers used that I think Rangers took that game. And everything that went with it, you know, the 50,000 there and winning the game and the adrenaline. I thought they carried that into the Celtic game.
Absolutely.
And kept it going. But whereas Celtic had played St Johnstone the week before and just strolled through. So they weren't getting into the game with, you know, that kind of, I don't know what word I'm trying to use here, but that kind of, you know, what it meant to be in a massive game. And Rangers got their other game right after the one they'd won.
Yeah, no point in really mentioning the credit of Hibs. I thought they were the best team in the Saturday, Hugh, because it still gets you the sack.
Yep, and then, that was, you know, I had a wee feeling, as you know, saying that Hibs would turn up and play well. But again, they were let down by the thing we talked earlier. It's the final third, you know, they were let down that and a bit of indiscipline as well. But now it doesn't, you know, it really is it really is even. Yeah. For us that have been years in the game, it just shows you the brutality, the ruthlessness of it.
Well, I'll tell you what it does show you, and this is the one thing that I think. I thought Hearts were going to win. I thought they would win both of them. I called it to Tam McManus, who was aghast, you know, thinking that Hibs could somehow come up against the Hearts side. They're a strong, better team, man for man, and a manager that wasn't flavour of the month. Some Hearts fans that I know, and quite a lot of them, wanted him out, and if he'd have got a bad start to the season, they would have been calling for his head.
Yep.
And Robbie Neilson is now on the verge of getting a new contract, and Robbie Neilson, the reason why he's in the job is because they've got a decent board who have got a steady head and look at something and say, this is what we see as our plan. This is how we'll go about it, and he's the man to do it. We're going to stick by him in troubled times. And at the tail end of this last season, Hugh, they weren't happy with him.
Oh, but we talk about Alloa, you know, losing to Alloa, you know, it's just terrible results. What they've got as well is a board that has been burnt. It's a board that has made poor decisions.
Yes.
And, you know, and knowing, I think, deep down that they've made poor decisions, they made knee-jerk decisions. They made decisions that they thought were going to be easy decisions.
Yeah. You've got to learn from them.
Exactly.
Levine was an unmitigated disaster.
And then the German manager was still Stendhal, going with him mid-season, an unmitigated disaster. The whole voting and relegation, and I know they were under pressure from their fans, will do something. But they burned hundreds of thousands on that. You know, obviously there was money behind the scenes being paid by benefactors to it, but they burned money in that. And they got involved in a series of really poor decisions. So when they came up with a decision that they thought was right, they held it. They said, you know what, we've got to hold on to Neilson. We believe this is the right decision. We believe it might not look that way at the moment, as you're getting beat in an Astra tough park at Alloa, but we believe it is. And in many ways, and I hesitate to say it, see going down gave them breathing space as well.
Yeah.
It gave them breathing space, not just to win the championship, which we're all going to win, but to plan ahead so they could hit the ground running in the Premier League, in the Premiership, I should say. One of the most important things behind this all, and I mentioned it last week, it's been forgotten, Hearts got promoted and finished the best of the rest. That's a real achievement. A promoted team came in and have stretched away from all the other teams. Yeah. That's a real achievement, Peter.
And rather worryingly, Ruffy, it's a promoted team that now is guaranteed minimum 3 million in Europe from Conference League. If they were to win the qualifier for the Europa League, suddenly all bets are off. I don't even think Aberdeen would be able to catch them unless Dave Cormack somehow found a pot of gold somewhere.
Yeah, the way they're going just now, everything is up. I think Robbie's already come out and saying, I'm not going to spend a lot of money, in bringing in players. But he will identify players, 3 or 4, that he needs to bring in, because he needs to stay up third. We've seen the Aberdeens and we've seen the Hibs being third nearly every year. So I think he'll be sensible enough to realise that, okay, I might lose a couple, but I'm going to bring in the same kind of quality that he's identified so
Funny
far.
enough, I don't think he loses many. I don't think he loses many.
No.
Do you think Hearts will lose many in the summer that they don't want to lose?
Well, I think Suter was a disappointment. I think he'd like to keep Sims. If he could get him from, but whether they've got the type of money to get him even back on another loan deal, I think he'd like to try and see if they give him another year.
If they don't get Sims, they'll get another
like him.
They'll get another like him.
Yeah,
because England just produced them.
Yeah, and there's got that much. They've got that many players that they want to try and get, experience. So they'll try and do that. I don't think they'll lose too many. I think you're right, Hugh. Just before, we've got quite a few things I want to try and squeeze in. One of them is fair play, Ruffy. Motherwell Rangers has been moved to the Saturday to help Rangers. So instead of anybody thinking it could have been used as an excuse, Motherwell have done something really positive. Rangers are happy. 12 o'clock on Saturday gives them a little extra time now to prepare for Leipzig.
Yeah, it's not before time. We started supporting the Scottish clubs when they get this far in European competitions. It's a must, because it benefits everybody. The further Rangers go, the coefficient gets better, the divvy from the European handout gets bigger to everybody, every club. So we should be helping, every Scottish club. Yeah. At every opportunity.
And of course, after the game on Sunday, I spoke to Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Of course, the confidence of defeating Celtic, great for the Rangers players. Now they've got that chance to obviously have a rest in preparation for Leipzig. So I think Giovanni van Bronckhorst, certainly from listening to him, he reckons that this has given them the chance to, have a real go on all fronts, possibly even reignite their challenge for the league.
Because we have a lot of games to be to play in the next few weeks, so gives us a lot of confidence. But every game it's you have to start all over again, and we're going to use this week. I think to refresh, to recover, to rest, to make sure everyone is ready for the last weeks of the season.
They're going to be on a high.
Absolutely on a high. And we touched on it at the end of the last week that, there were 2 results, 2 games away from an extraordinary end to the season, and they've negotiated that. I thought the Braga game was 50-50. It turned out just to be about that, didn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously a game against Celtic is obviously one different, but they got both results, they got it done well, and it sets up an extraordinary end to the season for them, because now Leipzig, 2 games against Leipzig to get to a final.
I watched Leipzig against Bayer Leverkusen win 1-0. You're right about Boyan Kunku. He looks like a player and a half. But I don't think Rangers get into it with fear, Hugh.
I don't think they do either. Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is, the Rangers go into it having beaten Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund are the second best team in Germany.
Yeah.
And it's not RB Leipzig that's the best team. Leipzig is the third best team there. Now Leipzig have beaten Dortmund, I know that, but why would they go into it with fear?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, there's 2 belter games coming up. I mean, great for Rangers that Motherwell Rangers is 12 o'clock on Saturday, but it then throws up the fantastic game on the Sunday, because Rangers can really crank up the pressure on Celtic going up to Dingwall against Ross County, which I don't think is a given, Ruffy.
No, everybody looks at if there's a venue you wouldn't want to go to with a lot at stake, it probably would be up there at Dingwall. Malcolm Mackay's got them firing on all cylinders. Malky's talking about getting into Europe, so they're going to be giving it 100%. And then again, I said the other day there, it's this is the first time for a long time that Celtic have had to come up with the goods. They've been winning quite easily, and now the pressure's on. Not masses of pressure, but they've got to show that they can bounce back.
Yeah, and of course Ange Postecoglou has been talking after that game and the defeat to Rangers about the injuries worries that they've got.
Leal hasn't played a lot, so we kind of knew, particularly in a game like this, he's not going to last, probably till around the hour mark. And all the players, Greg Taylor, Days, and the guys we took off, just gave everything. There was nothing more. And we had some strength off the bench, and I thought, particularly the first set of subs really made a difference for us. Just gave us a bit more energy.
There's players that they were looking at and wondering, will Kyogo have benefited from it? They'll be looking at Rogic, he come off as well, analysing any of the wee knocks that some of the players got. Abada,
Carter Vickers. That's a big one for me. I think he's been, really influential in what Celtic have been trying to do. Ross County's a good test to come back to for Celtic. They've got to say to yourself, right, we've got one thing to play for now.
Yeah.
It's a league. It's something that was beyond the hopes, I would say, of most supporters at the beginning of the season. It's now literally could be 2 wins away.
Yeah.
Could be 2 wins away.
Before we talk about Liverpool Man United tonight, Hugh, there's 2 belters at games as well, and I have to say, Kilmarnock against Arbroath on Friday is going to be fantastic. A full march to the Arbroath fans. They've snapped up about 1,200 tickets already.
Yep.
And Dick Campbell will I'd love to be a fly in the wall, Ruffy, for the speech. It would just be great to hear his pre-match speech to the players for this one. It's all or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is all or nothing. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. I think there's going to be about 12,000 in the stadium. I think Kilmarnock have reduced the prices as well, so they're hoping they're taking their full quota as well. It'll be a tremendous night, and all right, we know Dick and that, and I wouldn't put in by Arbroath. I really wouldn't. I think the season has been fantastic. If you look, I think they've only lost 4 games or something like that in a whole year. A part-time club.
I watched Kilmarnock at Capel a couple of weeks ago, and they were very poor. I don't know if that was indicative of them this season, but I was not impressed.
Away from home, they're not as good, but at home, they've got a good record. And particularly Lafferty, if he's playing.
Lafferty's a class above, Lafferty's an international player playing in the Championship,
Yeah.
It's some game. What was the other game you were going to talk about?
Well, the other game I was going to talk about is I'm dying to get your prediction. Who's winning that one?
Oh, goodness. My heart, I would like to see Arbroath win it. There you go.
Yeah. Dundee, St Johnstone.
Oh.
Not for the faint-hearted, I have to say. What a game that's going to be.
I know, and it's. I think Dundee have got. Dundee have got to win, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got to win. And I don't see them winning.
Do you not? I'm going to go for Dundee to win 2-1. I just think there's something about Charlie just pulling out a wee moment of magic from somewhere. I think there's something it's almost like a Disney movie, this.
But you'll not tell Charlie that I said that, will you?
No, I wouldn't worry about it. We've leathered him all year. I don't think you'll give 2 hoots about it, but nevertheless, it's set up for him, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's another quality player.
At home.
I know. And then there's the whole ticket thing that's going on there. The wonderful. So much good's going on in Scottish football.
Yeah.
Guys pulling it together to give guys that haven't got any money the chance to go to the game. Ruffy's club's got this Jags for Good thing. It was announced on Monday, where supporters are trying to get food and tickets for people in Maryhill and other places that can't go. We sit and we talk. We know there's so much nonsense and pettiness and even malice in football, but there's so much absolute great stuff, and that we'll see a lot of great stuff Friday, Saturday. Yeah,
maybe we're guilty of it in the media of not highlighting it as much, but your initiative is really good, Ruffy.
It's fantastic. They do it at Christmas as well. They bring in as many homeless people from the community, that deserve a right good day, where they're not fortunate enough to get it themselves. But you're right, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about, and most clubs are part of the community.
Most football fans are good people with a good social conscience. There's morons out there. We're being assailed by them. We're regularly assailed by them. We regularly see and hear them.
Yeah.
That's not the full story of Scottish football, Peter.
I agree with you, Hugh. Full march on that. Erling Haaland, Man City. It's looking good, isn't it?
It looks done and dusted. Mike Keegan, the Daily Mail, pal of mine, he broke the story last night. He's a good reporter, strong reporter. I think it's a terrific move for Man City. This guy's a worldie. I mean, what it does mean is that the old motor's going to get a lot more mileage on it, because this is a player that you would drive down to Manchester to watch.
Yeah, you've watched him regularly. Is he special?
He's really special. He's 21 and he's already, I don't know if there's all areas of the game can be improved, but there's not an area of his game that's weak. And he's 21.
Yeah, well, great game tonight if you're going to watch it. We'll play the tennis night quickly, just get to watch this, Ruffy. Liverpool against Manchester United. Klopp, even though City seem to be their great rivals, says this one is still special.
It's a massive game. Two biggest clubs in the world, I would say. Maybe in Spain too will say it's differently, but two of the biggest clubs in the world for sure face each other. Massive history around. Big fights in the past, big fights since I'm here.
Yeah, it'll be a great game, and of course, you know, when you look at the way Man United play and the fact that they are without Cristiano Ronaldo for obvious reasons, which I think the whole of the football world's best wishes go to him and his family at this very sad time, and Ralph Rangnick has to somehow engineer a win against a man that you've just heard there that he considers one of the best coaches in the world, Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, he's no doubt one of the best, if not the best coach, not only now, but also in the past couple of years. And yeah, this is, as I said, if this should be a role model, I don't know, but it's definitely, again, no coincidence what has happened there in the last 6 years. I think in his first year when he came during the season, after 8 or 9 games, they finished 8th.
Yeah, can't see anything other than the Liverpool win.
No, I neither can I. And I think Klopp deserves all the plaudits he gets. I think Klopp is, at the moment, the greatest manager in the world. I think what he's done to Liverpool and how quickly he did it. Remember, Liverpool were always the joke club that couldn't get it over the line, couldn't win a league. And now he's got them challenging and, already won cup and challenging in all 3 fronts. Recruitment been excellent, spirit of the club. Yeah. Great game to watch though, because it's a derby. Magic great.
Liverpool to win?
Liverpool for me.
Liverpool.
Listen, couple of things. Trevor Francis, it's his birthday today. I thought I'd mention it because Trevor Francis is one of those players that I used to look upon as a wee boy and think what a special player he was, even at Birmingham. But when he signed for Nottingham Forest, I thought, how lucky can you get? I think he only played 1 game before the final.
I know.
Boom, drafted in, and then John Robertson shows a wee bit of quick feet and he scores the winner.
Yeah, right on his head. I don't even think he broke stride.
No.
Yeah. When it came in there. Yeah, I always remember him. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Was he the same time as Gary Birtles?
Yeah,
Gary Birtles would be a partner. Yeah. I used to like him.
No, I thought he was Tony Woodcock
but it's not Gary Birtles' birthday, Ruffy.
No, I know it isn't. But the partnership,
happy birthday, brother.
The partnership was there, but yeah, he was a quality player.
Yeah, and can I just say at this moment, just before we go, our thoughts and condolences and prayers go to the family of Graham Fife, who played for Rangers for 7 seasons and who sadly passed away. There were just fleeting moments of genius from Graham Fife when he was at Rangers, and I think there was really high hopes, Hugh, that he was going to become a major star. He ended up moving to Hibs and then Dumbarton, and I think went over to play in America as well, but sadly passed away.
Very talented, and what the old people would call an inside forward, Peter. A very talented, technically good inside forward, and of course condolences go to his family.
Yep, absolutely. Another man gone too soon, and I think all the Rangers family, certainly from the message boards, have been passing on their best wishes as well. Thanks to Marlon, who's just sent us a little message. Imagine going down for a game of tennis and seeing Peter and Ruffy pounding up and down the court. So there you are. Let me tell you, Marlon, there's no pounding up and down. It's all craft, Hugh.
It's all positioning.
It's John McEnroe stuff.
It's positioning for Ruffy.
Yeah.
You happy with that, Ruffy?
Yeah, I'm more than happy with that. Yeah. But it's okay when we're playing together.
Yeah.
It's when we're against each other, it gets a bit aggressive.
It's a bit feisty, doesn't it? We started off with people leathering us for your legs, obviously, and then we might as well take it for that as well. But nevertheless, we love our sport, we love our football, as you can tell on this programme. And I just wonder if you fancy winning yourself a fantastic piece of art, because we've got a competition going at the moment. It's fairly straightforward. All you have to do is listen to what Kerry's saying, and you could win yourself a painting of your favourite player.
PLZ Soccer and Gio Thompson have teamed up to offer you this fabulous prize. All you have to do is name your favourite player for Gio to paint a unique and one-off version for you to hang on your wall. It's a simple competition to enter. All you have to do is hit the like and share button, follow us on Facebook, or subscribe to the PLZ Soccer YouTube channel to win this magnificent prize. Good luck.
So if you subscribe, follow, share,
What a prize that is.
you get to pick whatever
And
player
you want,
Gio
and,
paints it.
and he paints it.
Yeah.
I can't go over that. I just think that's a superb prize.
It's a good prize, isn't it, Hugh?
Oh.
It's absolutely fantastic. And if you want, just name your player. If you go onto our Facebook, don't forget to like, share and follow. We really appreciate the fact that if you are on our YouTube channel, if you hit the subscribe button, then not only do you join the football family, but you've got a chance to win yourself that fabulous prize, a painting of your choice, your player, whatever is your favourite player down through the years, or even now, Gio will paint it for you. And even Derek Greenhorn has just said there, Slim Jim Baxter. That's the calibre we're operating at here with people who are entering our competition. So thank you to the thousands who've done it already. And Hugh Scott says, Peter, for me it would be Davy Cooper if I won it. You couldn't argue with it. Davy Cooper would be a sensational choice. Everybody's in the hat. We'll pick it at random with Gio, and we'll announce the winner at the end of this week, which is ideal as we head into the weekend's football, which is going to be absolutely brilliant. Some blistering games to look forward to, Championship, and then the weekend with the Scottish Premiership. Thanks to Hugh, thanks to Ruffy. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks from myself, Peter Martin, to you for watching.